So what's going on, everybody? This is Coach Reg. I've been putting up some videos about intermittent fasting, and I think that I want to get into the scientific side of things and why it's beneficial, not just on the physical, I guess, as far as I want to look the best, look the trim. I want to talk about actually healthy and the scientific research that I've studied behind intermittent fasting and why I swear by it. Why I think it's the best diet for most people to go on. Now, it's not for everybody. People who can't do it, who don't want to do it. You don't have to do it, but it's just for people who, like me, who don't want to prep 5 to 6 meals a day, and you think that it's going to help you, lose weight and burn fat. I mean, I think that intermittent fasting is probably the best thing out there, unless you're on a specific kind of regimen or you're some kind of athlete. One thing, I have tried it out on doing it the wrong way, eating whatever I want. I did it for a month, I think in March, and it didn't work out for me at all. I fasted for my 16 hours. I ate crap for 8, and it didn't really work. I mean, when it comes down to it, your body needs a certain amount of macronutrients, and if you give your body the macronutrients, they say that that's all it needs. But here's the thing: if you eat bull crap and pizza and cakes and candy all the time, in that 8 hours, is your body getting the macronutrients that it needs? No. Yeah, you're eating what you want until you feel full, but are you really getting what you need? My answer is no. It didn't work for me. People like to say, well, you have great genetics. I do have great genetics, and it still didn't work for me. And what I mean by what my meaning of great genetics are, when it comes to actual body and maintaining muscle mass and losing weight, there's fatty cells. And some people have greedier fatty cells than other people. It's just genetically, you just have fatty cells that absorb, your carbohydrates faster than other people. Like you can see a person like me, I can eat a cake, a cheesesteak, a pizza, and might gain maybe a pound. But you can eat the same thing and you'll gain 30 overnight. I'm being sarcastic, but you get what I'm saying. That's pretty much what I say as far as the fatty cells. And in one of my later videos, I'll get into the genetics of people and the fatty cells over the people who don't have the greedy fatty cells. I don't have the greedy fatty cells, but still, as I'm 33. So as my metabolism slowed down, as I got a little older, I had to take care of my body a little bit better because I became more susceptible to injuries and things of that nature. So let me get into my science behind intermittent fasting. Let's start with. Now, scientists have done a study since 1945 on mice. Now, in 1945, they put them in a caloric restriction. And in that caloric restriction, it actually increased the mice's life by 50%. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to increase your life by 50% because they haven't done the study on primates, humans yet, but they did the study again in 2006 on mice, and they did the intermittent fast in 2006, and it did the same exact thing. It expanded their life by 50%, and for humans, it doesn't increase your actual age, but it will increase, age-related diseases such as Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. It will pretty much delay the onset of these things because you are intermittent fasting. So it will actually expand your life on that side of things. They haven't done the full study, as far as, increasing somebody's life, for 50 years because they haven't been doing it for that long as far as the intermittent fasting thing. But that's what works for that. Now, after a 23-year study, they concluded that, it will not increase your age, like I said, but it will delay a lot of things, as far as cancer, and I'm going to get into that later in this video. Now, if you think back hundreds of years ago, where people used to do intermittent fasting, but not know it was intermittent fasting, what I mean by is people were going through a caloric scarcity all the time. When you pretty much, hunt food, you don't know where you can get your other meal, until you catch it, kill it, and eat it. In the meantime, they didn't have microwaves, they didn't have fridges, they didn't have the mass production of the chicken and the beef and the meat that they have now that is at an astronomical level that you can just go to the market and get it. We didn't have the luxuries 300 years ago that they could do that. I call it a luxury because it is a luxury. unless you're in a country that hasn't developed yet, as far as you still gotta, hunt stuff in your country. But right now, I think that we have a luxury, the fact that we can go to a market, because back then when we didn't have all things that we have now, we didn't have the luxury. So you had to eat what you could eat, all of it, and then you had to wait until you ate again, which means your body pretty much, it stored fat for later on. But being that we don't have a caloric, scarcity at all times, and we can just go to the market and pick up some food, we are a nation that gains a ton of weight all the time. Like, we're a nation of people who are just huge because we have an abundance of food to just go by. And not just an abundance of food, we have an abundance of garbage too. And the crazy thing is, when you want to save money, you want to go to McDonald's, and then it's cheaper because you're spending $4, you get a full meal, but it's a full meal of garbage, but it fills you up, so you don't know what damage it's doing to your body. I personally don't eat McDonald's, but to each his own. Let me go into something else. Now, it's also a part of science that, your various hormones are affected, during the intermittent fasting, such as what they call IGF-1, which drops low around your 4th day. That's why people around their 4th day, when they first start off intermittent fasting, they pretty much feel really, really tired. You're really sluggish. Most people quit around this point because they don't feel like it's working, because you don't give your body enough time to adapt to what you're doing. But then, after that, your body adapts, and then you pick right back up. Like, I can tell you, after my first 2 weeks of intermittent fasting, my energy level increased. I feel like my strength increased. I feel like my focus increased. But I had to get through that point where my body adapts. Now, your body adapts to whatever you do. If you tell your body to lose weight and you give it a reason to, it's going to do it. If you just have to let your body adapt to everything you do. Just like when you lift weights and everything, and you lift a heavier weight, your body builds more muscle to be able to sustain what you're doing for the next rep. So you gotta be patient with your body. If you start intermittent fasting, don't get discouraged. If you really want to put into your mind that you want to do it, don't get discouraged. Stay focused. Set a goal for yourself. Take it slow. And I pretty much do all kinds of windows. I do a 19-5. I do a 18-6. I do a 16-8. I've done a 24-hour window. It doesn't even matter. But let me get into the science again. Now, as a doctor by the name of Valentine Longo, he's the director of the Longevity Institute for the University of Southern California. He thinks that short-term fasting maximizes the benefits of removing or treating cancer. They actually tested this out for mice. They did a 48-hour fast, and 5 cancers out of the 8 cancers, they pretty much slowed in growth out of the 5 to 8 cancers that they put into the mice. So that would tell you that cancer has a hard time developing in a fasted state. The cancer cell is not the same as a regular cell, which does not develop or grow in the fasted state. It does not grow nowhere near like a normal cell in the fasted state, which means that if you have cancer of some sort, a fast, intermittent fasting will be very beneficial to you. Now, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nutritionalist, and I'm a trainer, and I study this for a living. This is what I do. So you can either listen to me or you don't, but you can do whatever you want to do. Like the Hodge twins always say, do whatever you want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm sharing it to you. You can take it from a grain of salt, or you can take it and use it. I'm telling you, in my life, I used it. I was a skinny kid in high school. I had a hard time putting on muscle. I figured it out with intermittent fasting. I have great development, and as you see my videos more, I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to get more cut, and I'm going to get better because I'm opening my mind to doing new things. Now, in Britain, the University of Manchester, Dr. Michelle Harvey went out and studied women with a family history of high risk developing breast cancer. They all had high risk. Their family line had breast cancer, and they had a higher risk. Now, she put half of them on a diet that cut calories by 25% and put the other half on a 5-2 fast. This means that for 5 days you eat regular, and for the other 2 days you drop calories at about 600 calories, and that's all you're consuming for the day. After 6 months of study, both groups, they showed a reduction in blood insulin levels, but the reduction was greater with the fasting group, which means that when your insulin level drops, your body does not store as much fat. Okay. Now the study is still going on, but they're going to, do tests on their biopsies and things of that nature, to see if the actual cancer risk itself decreased. But it's promising because they did the same test on mice and it did decrease in mice. So it's very promising that it did decrease on that. So, you can, keep your eye out for that. But I'm going to keep on studying and let you guys know about that part. Now, if you're diabetic, higher insulin levels are greatly associated with type 2 diabetes. So if you do a fast or do intermittent fasting, it's not surprising that your insulin levels will also drop dramatically and your diabetic symptoms will decrease as well because your insulin is no longer as high as it normally was before. So if you are diabetic, I recommend intermittent fasting because your insulin levels will drop. And insulin is an anabolic hormone, but it's indiscriminately anabolic, which means it stores, fat in your muscles, and it stores, fat in your muscles, and it also stores in your fatty cells as well. So it goes either way. But when you drop that insulin, you don't store, as much fat as before. Protein spikes your insulin, but nothing like carbs. So that should be another thing as well. Now, let's say if you have asthma and you're overweight. There was also a study done as well in 2007 that put 10 overweight people with asthma and put them on an alternative fasting regimen. Now, just after a few weeks, the people that had asthma symptoms, they improved after just a few weeks. So if you're overweight and you have asthma, now asthma can also be affected by your, where you live. It can be affected by what you encounter. I can tell you right now, my sons have asthma. No, I have not put them on intermittent fasting. I'm not doing that yet for them. They can make that choice when they get older. But I have, monitored the way they eat and monitor what they come in contact with, and their asthma has also gotten better as well. And I have also put them on training regimens that that pretty much, help them out with their asthma, to help their body adapt to what they're going to do, as far as sports and things of that nature, where when they play sports, their asthma is not near as a problem as when they're sitting down, throughout the winter and not playing too many sports. So I try to keep them active all year round. So they pretty much won't have those, those symptoms of asthma, because asthma is not good. It does suck. Now, for one of the best things about this is the Heart Institute in Utah, a doc by the name of Benjamin Horn, found that a 24-hour fast only performed once a month raises your human growth hormone. Now, I want to save a video for this later on just by itself, because this is what intrigued me almost the most about intermittent fasting. Your human growth hormone is what you see athletes always cheating on, and they pretty much have all these athletes get disqualified or fined because they've taken something that rises their human growth hormone. But what if I told you through fasting, you can actually rise your human growth hormone naturally, right? Naturally. Now, as far as this, I will go into a later video about this, but my strength has increased dramatically. Okay? The set and the chest press that I was finishing on, I'm starting with. So that should tell you right there, and that's only took me 2 months to do that. So my max is my start now because of intermittent fasting. And I always work out in a fasted window unless I'm doing legs. I need carbs to do legs because it's ridiculous and it's long and it's destruction. So if I'm doing anything else in my body, I'm always fasted. Okay? So I will put a later video up about the human growth hormone thing. But one of the best things about intermittent fasting, it has also been linked to neurotrophic factors inside the brain. Between 50 to 400% means it increased the brain activity. I'm going to say this one more time. 50 to 400% increased activity, because fasting is a mild stressor and it motivates the brain to do more work to stay active. So because you're intermittent fasting and you're stressing your brain out, it motivates your brain to be active more and to have more and to use more capacity. So, listen, you can do whatever fasting plan works for you. I'm telling you right now, this is life if you want it to be. But if you're not prepared to do it, don't do it. if you are prepared to do it, if you're tired of, body fat, if you're tired of looking at yourself in the mirror and you want to do something about it that's very healthy, do it. If you don't have a lot of money to buy food, where you don't want to prep meals every single day, 7, 8, 9, 10 meals, and you don't want to have to worry about food, do it. If you're stressed out about all the stupid stuff that people always talk about, go buy this, go buy that, go buy this supplement, do it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, only supplement I take, and I'm not crapping on supplements because I might start my own one of these days, but the only thing I take right now is a protein shake. That's all I take. A protein shake. Everything else has been purely natural. So, this is my take on intermittent fasting. I'll put a bunch of videos up. I'm building my channel up. This is the start. Comment, visit intensityfitnessclub.com if you want to know exactly what I do. I'm a coach, I'm a nutritionalist, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm pretty much all in one. Check me out, because I'm intermittent fasting for life. Let's get this work, and let's cook that bacon!
Work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.